Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're well. You are listening to Colney Talk Podcast, a bite-sized show. I'm your host, Alex. First-time guests, thank you and welcome. And to my returning listeners, always good to have you back. On the show, I pick up my top 3 Arsenal performers in the game and one player who just didn't play well enough or had a poor game. Arsenal's game in hand was played today against Everton. It was a revenge game for every Arsenal players and fan. A team, Everton, we played less than a month ago. Arsenal had to put it right this time around at home. Starting lineup unchanged. I like that. Well, it was just a very, very slow build-up. That is for sure. Arsenal started poorly. You would think we would get Everton rattled with every early goal attempts, but we just got faced with a stacked low block formation defended by the visitors. As I intimated on last show, Jorginho is very susceptible to getting his pocket picked when on the ball. Sure enough, we experienced a very unfavorable situation around the 7th minute in the first half. A problem for our defenders, that's for sure. I just know that as much as he's such a good quality player, he's always going to be that target when he gets, crowded and just bullied off the ball. Luckily, in this case, we had Ramsdale, who was so quick to close out the attempt by Mopé, and that was that. So it was a very early clear discomfort creeping in with those few chances that Everton had in the first half. And Trossard, just great to see him involved early on. I like the fire that he had within the box as the false 9. He put some fire within the Everton's defenders, trying to create that spark. That rhythm really had to pick up, and he was the one to sort of initiate that, and that was great. To be fair, Arsenal were really good getting after Everton. Their recovery, the interceptions, pressuring them to redirect their ball movement. That was all quality. I did see all that, and it was really great. Tidy passes in Everton's half. It was just really such a great sight. But, we were all looking for that final ball, the goal attempts, the chances that you would mount fear into their already worried minds for Everton. Everton sitting really deep, just obviously different from the last visit when they were playing at home. Arsenal had very heavy reliance on the right. We had a lot of that combination. We had lots of the ball, but just couldn't penetrate the box. Like I said, Trossard was the only one trying to do something, effect that initiation or effect that activity of making something happen. And Everton, they just their back four, they squeeze right in to cause the traffic within the box and cause a lot of block shots, because that's really what happened. Odegaard shots, Saka shots, Martinelli shots, those were just really as a result from that squeezed back four from Everton. I thought I would see an added aggressive Captain Odegaard, but it was just in different variations. But I guess I was really looking for that within the box. 33 minutes in the first half, there were no chances for me to know. But it took 7 minutes right after that to get the fully baked goal. What a smashing strike by Saka. I mean, that was the injection we were looking for, doing it with anger. Then we had that interesting second goal. We have been done by with wrong calls, but this time around, it was the right call. It was a brilliant second goal and a good lead to have going into the half. So it was just so nice to see how quickly things just changed. But let me say, Odegaard, he needs to find his feet, man, because all these trips that he's been having, he has a good feet. He can dance around with the ball, and he's a magician with or without the ball, but he just needs to stand up straight. So, Captain, we need you standing up straight. And then, into the second half, a really good welcome introduction of Thomas Partey, starting the second half and giving Jorginho that rest he needed. And again, it's from a tactic standpoint, in my opinion, I think it was good to get that stability back, but yet still maintain the dominance that we needed. And starting off comfortably, You can see we really grew. Arsenal grew into the game. We had the ball. We were just moving the ball really well, and anyone can see that there was so much confidence as we were just dictating how we would slice them open. And again, I must say, Trossard and Zinchenko, they were the real wild cards for Everton. They just couldn't put a player on each of them. For the attack, that's what you want. Just make it so unpredictable. Really not, understanding really who to trap, who to really put a pin on, or have a player follow all through, and that's just beautiful. And I think that's one of the reasons why the lineup was unchanged. I enjoy the ball movement. The control was much more, fluid on the left. The link up there was just so much imposing, and Xhaka was a good factor in this plan. He swept the ball. He ensured the links between Trossard and Martinelli just stayed alive. Xhaka really stepped up big time in this game. He was feeding the ball to Martinelli, feeding the ball to Trossard to make sure they just did either have the final ball or just whip it in the box for a header or something. But crosses in the box was not a working formula against Everton, because for their defense they had the height advantage. So that's just something really had to move away from. Although we just would take our chances here and there, which you can see it led to a few shots within the box, and you just would not move away from crosses anyway. It's just something that really comes with the nature of the game. And I have to call out Martinelli, because a few times he had this reluctance in releasing the ball. And reluctance is like the moment when he needed to release the ball, he took a few more touches which he didn't need to, or he just lost that window or lost the chance and the ball just ran out for a goal kick. So he just needs to work on that. And there are certain times within the movements in the box that calls for him to release it in the right time, and see the players are really calling out for it, or having those through balls go through. And in the moments where he was the one holding up the ball, he just needed to release it in time. And we had two good chances, one in the first half and another in the second, that he just needed to do better there. So there's more work for him. And from there on, we just cruised down from there. Great pass on the third goal, from Trossard, and well done, for Eddie coming in to make an assist for the fourth. So it was just really good second half, and everything was just going according to how we had hoped for and the expectations coming into this game. So that was all beautiful. And it was really good to see Emile-Smith Rowe on the pitch as well. And I know Jesus is not far along. He's just looking and really just bidding his time. But he just can't wait to get in. And that is a wonderful thing to hope for and look forward to. It was just an absolute revenge game, this one. So glad to enjoy this way. So on to my top three players in this game. I really had a hard time picking out who would be in this list. But and it's such a good thing to have. But I know there are a few that you folks might agree with me here. First player, Big Gabby, another solid performance. Engaged with good intellect, absolute warrior in defending, blocked everything that came his way. More importantly, he slowed down the counter and quick runs into Arsenal's box. Excellent performance by him. I mean, the things that he did, how he was dictating the way the defense would just manage things, he did really good there. It was a beautiful performance by Big Gabby. My second player, Saka, thunderstrike with his weaker foot. Can you imagine that? There is more to say about this baller. Don't worry, folks. It won't sound boring. He was plenty hungry today. Without a question, he was a hammer to knock down the defense, and the goals just started coming in. An absolute catalyst for that second goal. It won't be talked much about, but I'll repeat it. Saka made that goal happen. Martinelli finished it well, but it all started with Saka, and that is a brilliant performance by him. Like, these are just evidence of how much of a big factor this boy is, this player, this Starboy. He just does things. It's with him, around him, just a great thing to enjoy. And I'm glad I'm glad to have him as one of my top three performers, which he really earned anyway. And my final player, Zinchenko. He's just a ball passing assassin. That's a mouthful, but he just did that. He's a huge game ball break in terms of defense, unlocking that low block that we just experienced in the first half. Really, I mean, all through, and he was just floating around everywhere on the field. He's now, to me, I think, the new unicorn for the first 11. I mean, we do have Tomiyasu as another unicorn, but for Zinchenko and the way and what he's doing right now, he is the ultimate unicorn for Arsenal's first 11. He has some real badass assist and pre-assist, and to me, he was the man of the match because everything that happened, however he was just moving with the ball, his distributions, almost 4 out of 5 distributions within the final third was a chance to take a shot or whip in the ball in the box, and it started from him. Just amazing, just really amazing. Well, it's been a while that I've had no other guy, and that's the situation today. I mean, when your team is leading 4-0, you'd be hard pressed to find a poor performer in the game. So it's glad that there isn't anyone today. But in this case, I would give a special mention for Ramsdale. He played really well and worked so hard to keep the clean sheet. If you go back and look at some of the real highlights of what Ramsdale did, it was so much on, stopping those very close chances. And I'm talking about close chances that easily would have been a goal or two maybe. But he works really hard there, and that's a good shout out for him. Folks, that's a wrap for another bite-sized podcast. Big Gabby, Saka, and Zinchenko make my top 3 list, and no other guy today. A wonderful game to really enjoy. Game in hand that we've cashed in, a beautiful win, and now onwards we go. So until then, I'll talk to you later. Take care.